Today we have Dr. Claudia Costa, or if I say it, she's from Sao Paulo, Brazil, but is it Claudia Costa or is it Claudia Costa? How do you say it?
Hello, Poppy. Thank you for the invitation. It's great to be here with you. In Portuguese, that's the language I speak, is Claudia Costa.
That's what I thought. I was like, you know what? I bet it's pronounced like that. I was like, do I do the American enunciation or the Brazilian
It's
enunciation?
Latin. It's
Latin.
open, Claudia Costa.
And that's what, were you impressed?
I see that you have sun and it's very hot there.
It's beautiful.
No, here it's very cold. See?
Oh,
yes.
You're on the other side of the equator. Is it your winter?
It's winter time, yes.
Oh my gosh. How
yes.
is that?
Yesterday we had 9 degrees. It was very, very cold. Last week, the whole week raining. It's disgusting, really disgusting. But now it's getting better, sunny.
So in your winter, I have to ask you, during your winter on your side of the equator, you have shorter daylight hours?
Shorter, but not like yours. The difference is 2 hours. Maybe it's not morning before 6 in the morning. And when it's summer, it's 5 in the morning. And
that's so interesting.
But it's not much. But what we feel, it's the winter. It's very cold for us. But I live in the southeast of Brazil. So in the north parts, we don't have this cold. But here, this year, it's very, very cold.
That is so crazy. Okay, I also have to ask you, does water go down the drain the other way on the other side of the equator?
Yes.
It really does it?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's funny that you are asking this because last week, I want to go to Ecuador in July for a meeting for Viscum album, for Miso2, with the doctors from Germany. And they told me in Ecuador, in Quito, you can see both sides of the water in the tap.
Oh,
I must go there and see this. Yes, it was funny you are talking about this.
That's amazing.
If this is true, I'll take a video and then send to you, okay?
Yes, do so. We'll put it on the membership, actually. Let's put it on the group page.
Yes, I promise.
Dr. Costa is in the membership. She's been following us as a member for like about a month now. And so it's so much fun to see you pop in. She's actually an animal iridologist. She trained under somebody else, not Mercedes Colburn, but also another Bernard Jensen trainee. So it's super, super fun to see her hop on and make little comments on that. And hopefully we have you back.
This is my book. I wrote a book about iridology, yes.
Thank you for showing me that. It's hard to find it in English.
Yes, I'm going to translate this because, my book of Viscum album, Miso2, is almost ready. And then I'm going just to send this to translation and put this on Hotmart. And it will be okay. And it's very practical and with study cases. So it's interesting. It makes the use easier. Né? It's good.
You are very diversified and very holistic. Is everybody in South America or Brazil like this? Are you unusual or is this the norm?
Before the pandemic, I think I was very unusual, but now I think the pandemic changed things. People are trying to find different ways to treat themselves. So I studied homeopathy in the very beginning of my career. And for me, it was a brand new world. I discovered many, many different ways to treat and to think in a different way from the normal vets in Brazil. And Brazilian vets follows all the Americans. we go to the American Congress and all this. So most of the vets are like this. But in Brazil, I think we are more open to different ways, not in the medicine, but the clients ask for this. And then I started studying homeopathy, and then I tried to learn acupuncture, and then I went to anthroposophy. I studied Reiki, and it's very interesting. And iridology, and I like all these things. I always tell my clients, I'm not a normal vet. I'm an astrologer. So wait a moment, I'm going to make it different. And it works for me, of course. It's okay.
So you said a name that I didn't know, and you've talked about it. You mentioned it on one of my Facebook lives before, I think. What is that word?
Which word? I didn't know.
It's anthropology or?
Yes, anthroposophy.
What is that?
This is very interesting. This is very German. I have a very great link with Germany because I was married to a German Shepherd's judge. He's a vet as well, and we had a house in Germany. So I went to Germany many times. And first I studied homeopathy. This is from Germany. Then I learned about mistletoe, and mistletoe comes from Germany. So I decided to learn what they are doing this in Germany. And I learned about anthroposophy. It's kind of a different thinking. It's philosophical. They have schools, they have architecture, they have healing systems, very interesting. But it's focused on men. And then I think it was, I don't remember, 2018, I decided to take a course of anthroposophic medicine. And there I learned more about homeopathy. Anthroposophy medicine comes 100 years after homeopathy. So first we had Hahnemann, and 100 years later, we have Rudolf Steiner. And this Rudolf Steiner, he was an engineer, but he was a philosopher. And with Ita Wegman, she was a doctor. She was, I think she was a gynecologist. And then they together made anthroposophical medicine. And it's very interesting because it's an spiritual medicine. They think about all the 4 bodies that we have, physical body, etheric body, and the spiritual body. It's great. And then
so it's a whole perspective, whole health, whole being, whole body.
So it's very interesting. So nobody have a disease only on the body. It starts on your mind or on your feelings, and most of the times in your spiritual way. They call this in Germany. It's called Ich. That's the same of I. So it's my superior I that enlightens myself. Rudolf Steiner says that the animals don't have this spiritual body.
I don't believe
I don't agree.
I don't believe that one bit.
Maybe it's not so developed, but they have this. For me, I see differently. But anyway,
I believe that animals are probably more spiritually evolved than we are. They don't have hands, so they can't express it to us. But I do believe they're so close to nature and understanding things. I do think they have this innate, creation, creator, common thread.
Yeah. All this time, I work as a vet for 32 years, and I have a very spiritual research, not for the animals only, but for myself. I'm always concerned about this. And what I made my own theory, of course, It's not on the books and all, it's observation. And I try to, let me say, how can I say, I check with my clients. So I learned about psychology a bit, and I work with Familiar Systemic Constellations by Bert Hellinger. Have you heard about this?
No, I don't know anything about this.
This
Wait,
is
I have to stop
great.
you for a minute. How many languages do you speak?
Portuguese, English, a bit of Spanish, and a bit of Deutsch, German.
German.
Sorry, German.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've lived in Germany, you've lived in South America. Were you actually born?
No, I didn't live in Germany. I went to Germany many, many times because I had a house there. But I always lived in South America, in São Paulo, my city, you know?
Were you born in San Paulo?
In São
Sao
Paulo,
Paulo.
in São Paulo, in São Paulo, yes.
Yes. Okay.
But I went to England when I finished university, and I stayed there for 1 year. It was a great experience. I stayed with some Australian vets. They were crazy, South Africans and Australian vets.
Australians
Crazy.
are crazy.
Yes, it was, you know, and they used to say, you are very, you know, university thinking. No, I learned this at the university. No, we have to be practical. And I learned there to be practical. It was interesting. We were crazy, but they were very nice. But I think the thing I think more interesting for me is not, you know, how can I explain? What I think, why the animal is ill. So for me, it doesn't matter the remedy. If it's allopathy, if it's homeopathy, it doesn't matter, you know. You can treat, you can use many different healing systems. But for me, the most important is why this animal is ill. Because in nature, they don't get ill. No, an animal that is okay with itself in a natural group, they don't get ill. They die of, if they get old, they are eaten. Okay, they don't have ways to be on hunting or finding food. So they are killed. Okay, but have you ever heard about a tiger that has cancer? So, you know.
I've never really thought about it. I mean,
elephant,
this is amazing.
yes, an elephant with arthritis. No, you know, if he has something like an arthritis, he's going to die. Come on, he can't go on. So I always try to think why this animal is ill. And if you observe, you will observe that the family system is ill. For me, I'm going to write a book because I have all the material about this. Because, for instance, I had a client. She entered my room and said, Dr. Claudia, you have to save my dog. I think, come on, nobody saves anybody. No, my father died of lymphoma. My brother died of lymphoma. My uncle died of lymphoma. And now my dog is with lymphoma. It's amazing, you know, how come all the family, so all the system thinks or feel or suffers of something that leads them to lymphoma. And it happens all the time. You have a client with diabetes and the dog has diabetes. Another example that was for me was crazy, and then I'd start thinking, was I had a dog with some seizures, and I asked for a tomography, and the result was he had hydrocephalia. Can you understand? Hydrocephaly? Yes.
Idiopathic?
Water in the, you know, in the brain.
Hydrocephalus.
Yes.
Okay.
How can I say this in English?
Hydrocephalus. Yes. Hydro
This
being water, cephalus being brain. Yes.
This is not common, you know.
Did the
And
owner have hydrocephalus?
come on, wait. And then
I can't wait.
the
I
lady,
can't wait.
the lady came with the dog, and she said, no, she gave me to the report, and I said, your dog has hydrocephalus. She said, funny, my husband has hydrocephalus.
Wow.
Um,
That's
wow,
crazy.
for me, come on, it's not common for people and not common for dogs, and both in the same house have the same problem. And then I had a personal problem. I went, my ex-husband, we split, and for me it was very, very difficult. We had difficult problems, and I always asked to myself, how come I didn't get ill? It was very difficult. I suffered a lot, and I didn't get a flu, nothing. And then I had a Yorkshire, a small dog, and he was always with me. He was, something, always together, always, wherever I was going, he was going with me. And he got cancer. He got cancer on, under the skin, on the region of his heart. So I was thinking of, and when you study Bert Hellinger, he always says that, the small in the system, and the small are the children, the son or daughter, they get ill in the place of the big ones, father and mother and whatever. They love so much the big ones. For a child, the big ones are father and mother, that they get ill instead of them.
Oh,
And then I
like
realized,
they take the illness.
yes, for themselves, in order that this person that they love so much don't get ill.
You know
So
what?
I realized,
I actually wondered about that. Oh, sorry, my hair is a hot mess. I got my rubber band stuck right before we went live. I've had clients
did you follow
who's
the idea?
yes, I totally followed the idea, and I suspected that. I wasn't sure about it, but I've seen one of our members, she's a very good friend of mine. Her name is Joy Reeves, and her dog got cancer like really, really fast. It was very unusual. And through the muscle testing, it came up that he was taking it for somebody else. I think it was her grandmother or something like that. But we actually thought it was her later in life because she did have some pathology later after he passed. And we pondered this. We were like, maybe it was you. And so do you think this is valid?
Yes, totally. Totally.
Can you
The more I pay attention, I can't say, every time is the same. It's not a pattern, but it's, there is something linked, and that's what I'm researching. I'm looking and paying attention. So, for instance, today I had a couple that they came for me with 9 cats. They have 9 cats at home, and the complaint was that they were peeing all over the place and they were getting mad, and the cats are quarreling and fighting and what's crazy. And then I asked them, are the cats sleeping with you in the same bedroom? And oh yes. And most of the times, then when I wake up, I step on my sandals when they put their feet.
the slippers.
The slippers. Yeah, that's it. The slippers. And all, they were wet with the pee of the cats. So the couple were crazy, and they were, I don't know, we don't know what to do. And then, of course, there are ways, and I have studied and read about this. Do you notice that you are not sleeping together? And the excuse for this is you put all the animals, all these things, that is, it's just to, to cover the real problems that you as a couple have.
That
No,
you
so
had that conversation with them?
yes, of course.
That's a hard
Otherwise,
conversation to have
talking
with pet.
very
Oh
hard,
my
very,
gosh.
for saying, excuse me, I have to talk because the point, the animals, I always think, as I study as an astrologer, I love astrology. And of course, this is not to do with veterinary, but it's aligned with me, the way I think. If you think, have you seen a mandala, something like that we have when we study astrology?
The charts, like
The
the,
charts, yes, the
like the
charts.
12 different
Yeah.
signs, astrological
Yes,
signs.
that's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
When you study this, the chart, we have the 60th house. The 60th house is the house of the small animals. This is the Virgo house. Virgo is made to serve. If you have a sun, your sun is in Virgo, you came to this planet to serve, to organize, to treat. And the animals are represented by Virgos, symbols. So for me, the animals came to this planet to develop themselves through serving the men. It's
Okay.
crazy. Maybe people think, now you're talking about slave. The sixth house is slaves. But even in the slave, and this is difficult to talk about, but it's a way to develop yourself. People come to this planet in order to develop themselves. We are in a spiritual, we are spirits living in the earth. It's so these animals, for me, okay, it's my way of thinking, are here to develop themselves serving men. Horses serve, cattle serve, poultry serve. If you think in this way, what's the purpose to have all these animals? And this is not an anthropologic place. I'm a human being and all the animals are under me. No, it's just observation. So these animals, if you think about the dog, in the beginning, they were wolves. Wolves were around the animal group, eating the rest of the food. And then some men decided that this wolf could be a dog and help with protecting the group. And then later they went to the hunting, and then they were shepherds. And then what they are doing today? They are living with us, showing us what we have to learn all the time. We learn love, we learn companionship, we love all the animals.
Responsibility. So
Responsibility.
responsibility, yes, because some people don't like to have pets because they're too much work. It's demanding. But
Yes.
yeah, because nobody wants to
Can
fail a little creature that can't fend for itself.
It's difficult to explain if you have prejudice, but if you don't, just look, observe. When we think about a free judgment observation, the animals are doing what? Helping us to develop ourselves. This is service. So what I'm looking, when a client comes to me, what's wrong in this group of people that live with this animal? There must be something wrong, because this animal is ill. And if he is ill, he has something to do with the illness of the group. You know, it's very complex, but I love this, you know. Otherwise, you don't get this animal better. Because if you allow all these cats living with this couple that they are not talking about their problems, they have to, you know, to establish limits. They have to tell each other, maybe they don't love each other anymore, maybe they have conflicts. that the animals are just, covering all this. If I don't talk about this, these animals can't be healthy. They can't be healthy.
That's really fascinating. So this is your own personal study, but you were also influenced by some other people, correct?
Yes. I studied Rupert Sheldrake, and this is very interesting. He works with groups of animals. He observed, for instance, when you have many fishes, swimming, suddenly they change direction, and not even a fish. How can I say? They
Hit
don't
each other. They don't
with
run
each
into
other.
each other.
Yes, they
Okay.
do this all the time. If you look to birds, they do the same in the sky and whatever. So he studied these animals' movements, and he discovered that there is a pattern, and he calls this system. And these systems, Bert Hellinger studied and with a different approach, and he noticed that we have family systems, and these systems comes from our ancestors. So we repeat these patterns. If we don't look to this and realize that there are patterns that we should change, we can't get cured. No, it's impossible to be cured if you don't look this with a realistic approach. And Bert Hellinger tells us about the 3 laws, very important laws. One of them is the order, the family order. So when someone borns before must be respected as the first, and then comes the others and the others. There's a hierarchy. Do you
Hierarchy.
understand?
Yes.
Hierarchy.
Hierarchy.
So sorry, my English.
No, you're great. You're doing great.
Yeah.
I
And
do have a little question about, like, it's super fascinating. Yes, like you'll see the fish swimming, especially I think there's
yes,
sardine, that like spin in those circles and they never run into each other.
yes.
And I felt like that might have been electric or telepathic, but you're saying that
Because
it
this
genetic?
no, this is information. How can I say? It's informational, like electric, but no, it's not electric. It's information. Everybody has the same information, so they
So
don't.
like telepathic.
Yes, like
Okay.
telepathic, but it's not. It's akashic. Have you heard about akashic records?
I've heard about that.
It's akashic. It's all over the world, and it's
Like
timeless.
a collective conscience.
Yes, that's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
It's yes, that's it. It's a
Interesting.
field, informational field. That's the proper word for this.
So the theory is that they're grabbing onto this information that's just out there, and
Yeah.
it's creating this force within them.
Yes, that's it. You
Okay.
understood everything. That's it. For me, it's very, I get really impressed with this. And I'm not the only vet that works with this. In Brazil, we have 3 or 4 vets that are very, very interested with this. I have some friends that wrote books about this. And this is Bertie Hellinger's work in Brazil is very famous. There are many people working with this. This psychologists and therapeutics works with constellation. It's family constellations getting very popular here in Brazil. And I studied this before it was popular, but now, everybody knows about this. It's very, very interesting.
It
And you
is
can
very
treat
interesting. And
it's very
I've seen families with like lymphoma also, or other cancers, and first the animals developed it and then the humans. And also in the membership, Maureen, saying that she believes a husky coyote mix took her cancer. So on that universal aspect, that all-knowing type energetic source, how does this work? Like, how do you research this? I don't even understand that.
Yeah.
And then Jacqueline saying EPI memory. I've never heard that term, Jacqueline. So
Neither do I. What
we'll
is
talk about that.
EPI?
I don't know. Let's talk about it after we talk. We'll give you guys a chance to hang out and turn on your videos and ask away, because we all are learning here.
Yeah, it's of course this is new. Bert Hellinger became famous in the 90s, so it's quite new. And even through the psychologists, they don't believe, or they say, oh, this is not science. But there are many books published in German and in Portuguese and Spanish. In Spain, I think in Spain, there are groups, interesting groups working with this. And this is for human beings. But there are vets that are working with this. And we know, and we talk about this. This is very, very interesting. So this, now we have, it's very common to call animals, my son, my daughter, I'm the grandmother of the dog. And this is not healthy, you know?
Right.
This is, we transfer our emotions to these animals. So if they are like I say, the victims of the system, because they are naive, you know, and they are pure, and they do this only for love. This is what Bert Hellinger says. All a child does for their parents, these animals, they do for their parents. Parents, they are not parents. So one word that we used to say is please, and we have this, we call this, we enter this field, this information field, and then we are all synchronized with this. And of course, there is a way to get into this. This is a work, and we are trained. We have groups to train people to this. But we tell this animal, this communication, interspecies, you are not my son. I can do all by myself. You're small. You take care of your problems. I take care of my problems. You don't have to be ill for my problems, you know, keep you as a, you know, a healthy animal, and so on. There are words that are used to do this. This is very interesting. And we see this movement. And I think this is to bring consciousness, both for the animal, you know, of course, in the way an animal can feel and think and have intuition, but most of this is for the people who take care of these animals, because I think people are getting crazy, more crazy, and all this, you know, this need for attention, for tenderness and love and whatever, they are spreading this and making these animals ill.
So
That's it.
I know that people, even myself, I've wondered about this, and I have put off getting a new dog for so long, because I was wondering if my environment made my last dog sick, or my marriage, or maybe even me. And so it is something that I pondered, and I put off getting a dog for multiple years. You know, he died in 2018, and it was 2020 when a dog went up on Facebook, and all my friends tagged me on this dog because he looked so much like the other dog. And they're like, you have to get him. I'm like, I don't want to get him. I don't really want a dog right now, because I worry about getting dogs sick. Like, you know, I could rationalize saying, oh, I get a lot of sick animals because I'm a healer and I work on them. But in the back of my head, I'm also wondering, is there something, there's a disorder here that we're all vibing on this level where it's constant illness. And so now, Dr. Claudia, do we just create a barrier and like, you're my dog, you're just my dog, don't take my illness, and he'll be fine, or what? Because I don't want my animals sick.
Yeah. What I most study nowadays, it's integrative oncology, because most of the dogs that I have Misto2, and I have vitamin C, I have cannabis and whatever. So I decided to study oncology. And what I think, we know it's multiple factors disease. So we can't say that not doing this, your animal will be safe and won't be ill, and everything will be okay. But if you think in a, let me see, if you think in a healthy way, that he's only a dog, it's a companionship. You are together. This dog have a chance to live, because if everybody says, I don't want dogs, and since people say, we don't have to buy animals, we have to stop with this animal won't have the choice to live. So you decide to have this dog and treat as better as you can. So, but don't call him son or daughter, and don't treat as a human being, treat as an animal. Has to be fed, has to have a proper place, and has to be with you as a friend, as a colleague. We are here, we have problems, and it will be lighter. You don't have to, to transfer for this animal your own emotions, your problems. In a way, everybody should be invited to develop a way to take care of yourself. You are not responsible for your mother, you are not responsible for your daughter. Of course, if she's young, it's different. But when it's adult, it's an adult. You have to, because otherwise you make your son ill if you treat as a baby. This is
right. And I've seen that. I've seen overbearing mothers create
exactly
a very unhealthy,
problematic sons and daughters. That's it. So this, and now people are becoming to say, I don't want to have son and daughter, I don't have to have kids, I just want to have dogs. And then they go to my practice and say, oh, this is my daughter, or this is my son, my baby. Come on, he's going to be ill, I'm sorry. So we have skin problems, we have cancer, and all this, the problems that we have in the system. So to keep them safe, treat them as dogs and cats and birds and whatever,
it's funny because people always ask me, well, what about those people that feed Purina and Old Roy and just throw some food out in the backyard and their dogs are never sick? I'm like, because they're not attached and stressed out, and they don't have that creation of that love bond between them. It doesn't seem to bother them because they're not invested. The owners are not emotionally invested in these dogs.
Yes, that's it. You understood. So that's it. I'm not telling, oh, don't care about your animal. That's not this. You can have your animal on your bed, but he's on your bed because you decide that he can be there to watch TV and whatever, or you are using the dog as an excuse not to have sex with your husband or ever,
Right.
That's it. Now, we do this unconsciously. We don't do this, I'm going to do this because I want to not have sex with my husband. It's not this, it's unconscious. But, if you are okay with your husband, the dog is not sleeping on your bed. You are doing something with your husband. It's crazy to talk this, but this is life. That's it.
So with the kittens that came in and you had this hard conversation with them, what did they say? Did they go, oh, you're right, our marriage is kind of jacked up?
It was funny. It's funny, but it's sad and it's life. Um, the lady started to say, no, I don't see it, denying. No, I don't think this. But the husband was just like this.
Oh no.
It was hard, you know. Uh, ah,
Wow.
no, I think this kind of medicine is not for all the doctors. But you know what we see with human beings, take lots of medications, but are not looking for the real problem. You know, you have a skin disorder, take some cortisone pills, and if you stop the cortisone, the skin problems come back. But
Well,
you know,
in homeopathy, it goes deeper into the body,
yes, that's it.
and
So
you create a
are
worse
you
situation.
looking for the real problem? No. When we talk about, for instance, bladder problems are territory. If the animal have territorial problems, this animal is going to have bladder problems, because peeing is, you know, to mark territory. So if you have why this cat is not peeing in the box, in the litter box, is peeing all around the house? You know, this is something is wrong. You have to look for this.
So when you said the cats were peeing like in the slippers, and the fact that they were on the bed, you figured out that this marriage is not the healthiest marriage. Like, I would never put that 2 and 2 together. And so the fact that they're not peeing in the litter box, they're claiming their own territory because they've been elevated. Is that
They
okay?
are not animals. What they are doing, only the alpha couple sleeps in the best nest. Only the alpha couple is going to put the DNA forward. The others, if you think about dogs, for instance, the alpha female and the alpha male are together, and all the others dogs sleep around. And then comes another alpha male and start peeing for what? To catch the female attention. They are going to fight, and then he will replace the first alpha male if he's not enough for this female. The cats are doing the same. They are trying, hello, I pee here. I'm trying to get into the alpha nest. The alpha nest is not, you know, healthy, because they are
Are you saying I
seeing.
can't let my dog sleep on my bed anymore, Dr. Claudia?
I have a cat that sleep with me, and then when I talk this to my daughter, mommy, you sleep with, we call him Black, my Black the cat. You sleep with him. But at this moment, I don't have a boyfriend. If I have, I will put him out of my bedroom.
There you
Bye-bye.
go.
I'm sorry. So now he can, but I don't know until when.
But because you're letting him sleep on the bed, is he going to get manifest other illnesses because he's laying right next to you?
Yeah. And we are, what I noticed with this lady, for instance, she's guilty of all this. So when I told her, do you have a room that you can put the bed and all the plates, everything of this cat that is making this at night? He's safe, he's comfortable, he has food, water. This is your place, you will sleep here. Shut the door and go to your bedroom. Would you do this? She's starting, oh, he's going to be alone. Oh my God, what's going to do? She's talking about herself. Because the cat's okay. What's the problem for the cat? No problems, you know? Yeah, and you have to put the limits to be safe. For instance, you are a mother and you have a child. You have to say, here, no, let's stop. We have to give limits. And this lady is not giving limits for these animals. So the animals, all the houses for everybody. It's not like this,
So
you
we
know?
become the servants to the animals, and the animals
Yes,
are above us.
yes, exactly. You understood perfectly. I'm
No,
sorry. You are, it's crazy, but that's it. Yeah.
it's so bad. It's so bad. But I understand, yes. And I used to take dog training classes from a lady who is a animal behavioralist. So she would really lay it out of like boundaries and borders and understanding, like they have to earn the right, you have to maintain your position in the family. And so yes, it can kind of run amok, can't it?
And it becomes a mess,
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. So
I am here to serve her.
yeah, we pick up the poop, we take them for walks, like our whole
It's
world becomes that.
it's not a service in a in a in a bad way, because in a way everybody serves. Otherwise, what's the purpose to be here in this world?
Right.
Now, when we are doing this chat, this is service. We are spreading knowledge. This is service. So there is a prejudice about this. Everybody serves. Otherwise, there's no purpose to exist. That's it. A tree serves, a river serves, everybody serves. But, we have to have this hierarchy. That's the right say to say.
Yes.
We have to. Otherwise, we lose order. And Bert Hellinger always says we have to keep the order. Otherwise, it becomes a mess. And then we get ill. He has a different word for this. I don't know this in English. It's when you become, it's when we think about strings and you make this mess with strings, that's it. Everybody, if you start
Jumbled,
to know,
like you're jumbled up, or
yes,
there's probably a better word than that, but
I don't know the word for this in English. I should know, I don't know. But
enmeshed.
it's meshed. So when you start, put the things in the right places, you are the mother, you are the father, you are the son, and you are the dog or the cat or whatever, then it's easier. We don't get ill as the same. And sometimes everything is okay in this order, but we don't belong. This is another problem. There's someone missing or was vanished or something like this. And there is the law of belonging. Everybody belongs. So everybody deserves to be looked, seen, you have to be seen. So this is important as well.
Absolutely. So in your, like, you've been studying this since the 90s, correct? Did you
2000.
2000?
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
now that's almost 23 years, right? That's a long
No. I the first thing that called my attention was homeopathy. Because in homeopathy, we realize that we are a spiritual body. We have, the vital force. This was a click for me, because in medicine, we don't talk about this. We always talks about materia and the body. If it's liver disease, it's, cerebral disease, it's lung disease. And I was not satisfied with this. So when I learned about homeopathy, my whole world, was bigger, and I start thinking. And then I studied Chinese medicine. That's very, very interesting. Acupuncture is, for me, it's great. And then I start researching. And I think Bert Hellinger, it was something like 2015, I really started study. But before, I like psychosomatics, you know, psychosomatic.
Psychosomatic, yes.
So because Bert Hellinger, he drunk from these forces, from psychosomatic, from Rupert Sheldrake, and psychology, group psychologies. He's a great psychology. So, and I am always interested in psychology. So I don't think ethology is enough.
I think
Now,
I wanted to bring
yes,
something up about homeopathy. So I'm a certified acute pet homeopath through a naturopathic college. So I don't do chronic homeopathy, but we did have to read all like the Lucas's book and things like that. And I was blown away by the fact that the mental health, like mentally ill people, work on a different plane. And I thought COVID was a perfect example of that. Like mentally ill people don't get colds and flus, correct? And people, they built all these homeless shelters for all these COVID patients, thinking that the homeless were going to get COVID, and they didn't.
yes,
They didn't get COVID. And people were like,
yes,
why aren't they getting COVID? I'm like, they're mentally ill. They don't get that.
yes. The most noble organ is brain. So why should they have COVID if the brain is already ill?
It's so
That's it.
fascinating.
Yes, but everybody thought, what's going to happen to these people? Nothing happened.
Nothing
We
happened.
have, in Brazil, we have many, many prisons full of people. They didn't get ill. I thought, maybe, my God, they are going to heal everybody's, they are all together. No, nothing. Some had, okay, but it was not this craziness that happened outside.
So I was married to somebody who was schizophrenic, and when he got a cold or a flu, I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, they're getting healthy. Because
Yes,
he was out of that mental plane and could actually, his body actually recognize
yes,
diseases.
yes. And I think it's funny we are talking about this because last week I started to pay attention, and I was reading some articles about psychiatry in animals, because we don't talk about this.
No, we don't.
No, we don't talk about bipolar animals, but there are many dogs that are crazy, or for instance, obsessive compulsive dogs that licks
Obsessive
themselves.
compulsive.
This
Yes.
is obsession,
Mhm.
so, and there are medicine for there's medicine for this. We have animals with anxiety,
Anxiety. Yeah.
anxiety, many, and all these animals that we say they have
Depression, even.
depression, but the animals that have problems with not being alone, this is a disorder, you know. So we have to think about this. I think I have a bulldog. She's very nice, but for me, she's an autist, because she's only focused on her ball. She gets the ball and nothing else happens. She's deaf. To make this worse, she's deaf. She's very, very clever. She learns everything. I say I communicate with signals of her, and she understands. But when she has the ball, she's crazy. Well, maybe she's autistic.
Obsessed. She's obsessed.
Yes,
Hyper focused.
hyper-focused. This is autistic disorder. So
Autistic.
we have,
Okay, got it.
I think, autistic. Yes, like Lionel Messi. That's it. He was crazy for the ball, obsessed of the ball. So what I mean is we have to start studying these things. I think we are on time for this. It's
Fascinating.
not only ethology, you know, this is not behavior, only behavior. It's more than this. And they are all the time with us. So they are getting ill because they are involved with human beings. And we
So how,
have these disorders.
Dr. Claudia, how do you think that works? Is like you had that dog that you always had pushed on your chest on that side, and that dog formed a tumor. Do you think they're just like sucking it out of you? How does this happen?
I think it's further. I think he loved me. So, and this is Bert Hellinger way of thinking. He loved me so much that he got ill instead of me. You know, he died for
This
me.
is mind blowing how like I'm a little earthy and spiritual, but I'm also kind of like a scientist.
No, this is not spiritual. This is information uh, field. This is information field. This is Bert Hellinger's. If you read his all his books, you can understand this. And for instance, Bert Hellinger says that there are children that can't control their peace, and this is because their father and mother are having problems. The children feel the problem. They can't express. This is not conscious, but the problem is there. There is a veil, but you know, this is information, and the information is in the group. It's unconscious. People, we don't talk. Most of the time, we don't realize. And I told you, I always asked me, wow, how come I didn't get ill? I didn't get ill. My dog was getting ill instead of me.
That's so fascinating. And I even think, so pack, it works within the pack, it works within the family unit. And I even think it works within cities. Like people come
In
together
groups,
in,
whatever you call a group, you know. Bert Hellinger studied even companies. There is a hierarchy. When you put some employee, a new employee in a company, and he doesn't respect the ones that comes first, all the order is broken. And if the order is broken, there is going to be problems in between or among all these people that are working together. It's just, if you observe this, it's okay. So if you put order, then things calms down and calmer, and then you can talk about this. This is very interesting.
so if I get a new horse, I can't love that horse more than my old horses, or it will create chaos within my herd.
Maybe you love, because this is something that, for instance, I have 3 cats at home. One is more lovable than the other. You know, for instance, I have my female cat here, and she's very, you know, reserved. But I have a black one that comes on. He's lovable, but he came later. He was the last one. So what you should do is, if you feed, you feed first. The first one that came, then the second, then the third. If you get home and you are going to say hello for the first, then hello for the second, and then hello for the third. So that you establish the order.
And
The
it's
one that,
respect. It's so, and that's
yes,
something I think we're missing on this planet. I think we have very little respect on a global level.
yes, yes.
Wow.
And today, did you notice we are in our 50s? At our time, our fathers and mothers are on the top. We respect them. Now, I feel our kids are trying to be with us. They talk with us like we are mates. I always tell my daughter, Come on, I'm not your friend. I'm your mom.
Well,
You
and I
know?
think that's healthy because so many moms are their daughter's friends, and then it
Yes,
creates this
and we
bizarre
are not
imbalance.
friends. Bert Hellinger says, we are not friends. I'm mom, you are daughter. I'm sorry. I'm a human being and you are a dog. That's it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
That's powerful and also tough.
Tough, very tough,
It is very
because
tough.
to give limits is tough, but it's love. It makes the system healthy. You know,
That's
it
incredible.
doesn't mean that you're not going to kiss, to embrace and all those things. Nothing to do this. This is respect the order and the belongings. You know, that's
Dr.
it.
Claudia, that is amazing. I want to open the floor up for conversation. So you guys go ahead and bring your video up if you want to ask questions. I'm going to remove our spotlights, and then that way we can, where is your spotlight? We can have a little organic chat if you guys want to. Please hop on board because I want to know what this EPI thing is, Jacqueline.
Yes,
So hopefully you're
me
still
too.
on. And Charlene
I
says
got
Kelly
curious.
confirms that. Yes. Yes. So there's 6 of us on Zoom. You guys, where are you? And Charlene's very, very close to her dog. Her and she is here to serve her. So her dog does have an autoimmune disorder. So I'm fascinated by this conversation. And it does seem, I don't know, is it the people who are closest to their pets that use their pets as friends and security blankets or emotional support? Are those
Uh,
animals more apt to get sick?
in the first place, when I tell this to people, they get angry with me, very angry,
See why?
And I have a friend. He's the one that works with family constellation before me. I learned with him a lot, and we always talk about this. And we notice that people get angry when I will say, they are not your daughter, neither your son, they are cats and dogs. But in the end, they agree and things get better when you restart, putting order, giving limits, and things get better.
So you
And this is a way of loving.
actually implement this and animals get healed?
Yes, at least the systems get you. I'm not talking only about cancer and all these things, but I'm talking about the dynamics of the system, the
The
family with
lack
the
of
dogs.
balance, the
Yes,
unrest.
yes.
Like if
And
you have
then,
multiple pets in the household, they quit fighting
yes,
or okay,
yes,
very interesting.
yes,
This is a hard conversation for a lot of people.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It's profound.
Yeah, I can see where some of my members might be a little shook from this.
Where
Yes.
are the members?
Absolutely. I just saw Maureen hop on. Maureen, do you have anything you want to add to this conversation? Jacqueline, Charlene, any of you that are on here live?
This is just so cool. I'm like totally blown away. I got to watch it again.
It is. It's
I'm
interesting.
just fascinated. I'm like, you're so out of the box. I love it. I totally love it. It makes sense.
It
Thank
does.
you very much.
I
Thank you very much.
Well, and you're the one that has this coyote husky
I
combo.
did.
So
I
tell us
did.
about that.
She died. Let's see. When I had my cancer in 2013, she would lay with me when I was sick, and my cancer went away, and she got cancer, and I couldn't put her through the chemo, and And I didn't believe that could happen. I found out a couple of years later from a good friend of mine. I'd seen something about it, and I'd asked her, and she was an animal communicator, and she said, yeah, if I would have known her at the time, she could have released it, but I didn't know her then.
When I think,
I'm
you know,
sorry.
yeah, in my mind, I've always been like, is it lifestyle? Like, are we all exposed to mold together? Is there a gas leak we're all being exposed to? You know, some of my clients lived in cancer cluster communities that were near nuclear power plants. But so in my mind, I was like, could there be something here? Or is it a more obvious scientific answer? But
I think
interesting.
she was trying to save me. She
That's
was so close to
I
me.
I believe my dog tried to save me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've got another
I
one who
think
would do the same
I'm
thing.
sorry, I didn't understand your name,
Maureen.
Maureen. You feel the same that I feel, you know? I share with you this feeling that if they were not with us, we won't be here, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
so
This is
That's
the
what got
most
me
that
into the
makes you
beautiful.
holistic stuff.
that makes you feel bad though. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want this dog because I love this dog so much. I don't want it near me. Like,
Oh, no, 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 no. My
No,
Jasper, he's my heart now.
yes.
I don't have Cheyenne anymore, but I have Jasper, and he's my total heart. And he would die for me too. But I've had him for about 12 years, and I've given him the best life, and he's still,
That's it.
yes, him, Mr.
That's it.
Rocky Bear. I
hi,
live with
Jasper.
him.
Yes. That's it. I think she understood and she feels the same. I really start to pay attention after my Jorginho was his name, when Jorginho died. I didn't understand. I tried to think. I made a meditation, you know, I have to understand this. And then it was very, very clear for me. And with all the knowledge I have. Yes.
Now, Maureen, don't let that dog lick you if you have a disorder. No. Like, I'm the one that's
That's
like,
why,
oh no, get away from me. I love you too much. Please.
that's why I started going into all this holistic stuff. I mean, look at the burros. I love them more than, I love them
Yes.
so much, and being able to bring him out of the trauma and everything. But,
Yes.
that's
But
what all this
what
energy healing and stuff is.
we have to say is that we are grown-ups and we can take our problems alone. They can be our pets and they
Yeah.
don't have to be ill for us.
Yeah.
We deal with our problems. They are only pets, you know?
Right. Somebody wrote a comment that I cannot read because it's in your language. And so,
Yes, I saw.
Sabri?
This is Sabrina. She loved our life, but she didn't know how to say this to write in English, and said congratulations to we both.
Excellent. Gracias, I guess. Do we say gracias or
Yes.
grazie?
Obrigada.
Obrigada.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, close enough. All right.
Yes.
Any other comments? Any of other adds to this conversation? It would be awesome. Jacqueline's saying that her Zoom is acting up, but she noticed for years that gray squirrels knew not to come in her yard. They would get nervous and twitchy. That's because when I came back from Florida, my tenant fed the squirrels. Hold on, fed the squirrels like mad. I feel the birds and was getting overrun with squirrels. So relocated many of them. Years later, noticed that new squirrels coming into her yard don't go in there. There was like this vibe, I guess. And she saw a documentary about EPI memory, how animals can pass on knowledge down. So they pass knowledge, and I believe the horses definitely do that. Like I was just talking at our luncheon with David and Lee about how the Arabian horse culture, the original foundation horse, carries all this wisdom and knowledge from creation, from the beginning of horses, and that they articulate that somehow into each generation. And probably it gets diluted, but they seem to hold on to that, like the Bedouin Arabs that would stand over their owners in the tents. These Arabians from that descent want to be as close to the houses as possible in modern day. Yeah.
Interesting. Very
So
interesting.
we studied this in school. It's about the study of epigenetics, and so it goes along with the guy who wrote The Body Keeps the Score, that every experience and thing that we experience in life is stored in the body, in the cells of the body, and then it shapes into
That's
our
it.
DNA, so it's passed down from
That's it.
generation to
Well,
So they did experiment with some mice or rats, and they
Yeah.
like, I might have the details wrong, but essentially it worked like this, where they gave, every time they gave the rats like a particular kind of cheese, they
That's it.
shocked them. Then their kids, when they wouldn't eat the cheese, but they never got shocked. So then they did
Until
it to the
seventh
grand,
generation. You
yeah,
know,
and when
this,
they did it
this
to the
experiment.
grandkids, those mice, they never were shocked, but they knew not to ever eat that cheese. And it was just interesting because they never saw it happen and they never had it happen to them, but they knew somehow not to eat the cheese.
That's it. Until the seventh generation of these rats.
Correct.
So this is on the DNA. So this is the base of Bert Hellinger's. You know, we have all these problems that comes from our past, you know, our ancestors. So
well, it's funny
maybe,
because the Bible talks about the sins of the father traveling 7 generations.
Yes,
yes.
but then the next
And-
part is that the blessings will go to thousands of generations. So the people that do their
Exactly.
work, to heal their trauma and heal all of the stuff that happens, it will affect for thousands of generations afterwards. That's why it's so important for people to do their work.
If you
Heal
do this
stuff.
work, you clean your family from these problems, your next generations.
That's
This is-
amazing, you
yeah,
guys.
it's
What a
amazing.
crazy
Yeah.
conversation this is. I
Mm.
have goosebumps. I totally have goosebumps. Oh my gosh. You guys, it comes full circle, doesn't it?
I'm talking to Jill, and probably I will go to San Diego in October for the.
For the
Yes.
holistic conference, the
Exactly.
veterinarian
I'm really
AHPMA.
interested. Maybe you are there, then we
I
can
hope
talk
so.
a lot. That will
Yeah.
be wonderful. You live
Excellent.
where do you live?
I live really close to Dr. Jill. She's my veterinarian, so I live in Folsom or near
Because I
Folsom.
intend
I
to
don't
go
live
to
in.
Sacramento. We are thinking about this.
Well, when you come into Sacramento, please let me know. And you guys
Yes.
remember, she is live again on Thursday on the Cancer Free Canine page, talking about
Oh.
mosquito therapy.
And then it's not so spiritual, okay? More scientific.
It's more scientific. Exactly.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your time. Have a beautiful night, and we look forward to chatting with you again.
It's a pleasure for me. Thank you I'm honored. It's really nice to be here. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Really, really nice. Thank you, Costa.
Please come on again and talk about iridology, your book, and your research.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
If
good.
any group wants to hear that, it's us.
Okay.
Thank you. Maureen's like, yes.
Thank you very much.
Have a great
Slowly
evening,
see
you
each other.
guys. And
For
we'll
you
maybe
too.
I'll see you
Nice,
on Thursday.
nice evening. Bye-bye.
Remember
Thank
that-
you very much.
Remember that members get access to Cancer Free Canine platform. They can hop on the Zoom call and watch from Zoom, or you can just watch from Facebook. So that's one of the perks of being a member. All right. I'll drop that Zoom link too. Good night.